Still ahead, it's a language beyond words. Coming up, we're going to sit down with the author of the Charisma Code, take a look at the power of personality, the role it could play in the next election as well.
'Cause you've got personality, walk personality, talk.
But what does it do for you? That's the big question. We've probably taken personality tests and IQ tests at some point along the way, but have you ever taken a Charisma Code test? Well, our next guest is the author of a new book. It is called The Charisma Code, Communicating in a Language Beyond Words. And she joins us to help us understand our own Charisma Code and how it can help us go further in life, love, and business. And she joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Robin.
Wonderful to be with you, Steve.
So, first of all, what is it that we can gain from this? This is nonverbal communication. What does that tell people, and how do we control that?
It tells people so much. I mean, 90% of our communication is oftentimes nonverbals. That's what science shows. So charisma, being a nonverbal communication, is absolutely imminent in the ability to be able to make a connection with people. I call charisma the currency of connection. So it's how you and I would connect right now. How we're sitting, my tone of voice, your tone of voice, etc.
You're the expert in this. I was going to ask, what do you look for when you first notice somebody?
Yes.
What is it that typically stands out? What types of things stands out that make you think this person could lead in this way or perform in this way?
So I'm looking at a number of different things, but specifically, I mean, body language is huge. That's, if we don't get an opportunity to talk, my work came as an anthropologist around the world. I'd go to a culture where we wouldn't speak the same language. And I'd have to identify very quickly, is this a safe person? Is this not? Is this a person that I can connect with, and how? And so I'd be looking at body language, and sometimes I'd mimic them so that they would feel an affinity with me, because my work as an anthropologist was to know them, to understand them. So I'm looking for body language and little just gestures, eye contact, smiles. What is it? What's the mood? What's the feeling that's being presented?
We're going to break down in just a minute some examples of some real life people and some of these codes and how they may apply.
Yeah.
But once you determine what type of code somebody might have, what type of charisma somebody might have, what do you do with that? And how do you help them tailor this to make themselves better?
When people know themselves, and I call that in my book the Charisma Code, that's the first step. When people know themselves, to know your value, and then they can show themselves. And then finally, they can see other people's value. Those are the 3 steps of the Charisma Code. So first, I help people just know who they are. And I have a 5-type Charisma Code quiz on my website, charismacodebook.com. And you can go and figure out, everybody has a charisma type. They can figure out what it is and what their qualities are and how they will lead, which is why I think it's so important in the presidential election right now.
I took this code just a little bit ago. We'll get to that in a minute. First, you mentioned the presidential election. Let's talk about some of these real-life examples right now. We'll put the name up and what it is, and you can explain a little bit more about that. But let's start with Hillary Clinton. What do we determine about Hillary Clinton?
Hillary's a green charisma type. So she is somebody who has supportive charisma type. She shares her charisma type with Oprah. That's the celebrity I use to make the connection. So she's support, empowerment, sincerity, strength. You see it in her body posture. You see it in her piercing gaze.
Here's the question that we had, and I'll use Hillary Clinton as an example. When we have political experts on here, they say one thing that may be a negative at Hillary Clinton is her verbal ability, her strong speech making. When you think of somebody like Oprah, you think somebody who is the opposite, that's very vocal. Now, we're looking at nonverbal cues here. So you're relating her to an Oprah-type charisma, but that doesn't necessarily go one-on-one with the verbal traits.
Well, so Hillary Clinton has, we all have different types within us. Oprah is somebody who has numerous types in her. She's not just green, right? So she has a lot of gold and she has a lot of blue, which I would love to see Hillary have right now. I think that it would help in her verbal presentations in many ways. Okay, let's talk about who she was competing with so much so over the last year, Bernie Sanders. What do we have with Bernie Sanders? Red, and I hear that you
just gave it away.
Sorry. Well, you do share Bernie Sanders' charisma as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s charisma.
So, and Martin Luther King Jr. is the person who you've picked kind of one person to illustrate each code in the book.
Code, yeah.
And Martin Luther King is red. Now, you say Bernie Sanders is also red. So what does someone who has this red charisma also have? What do
Revolutionaries, they're powerful, they're out in the world. You, sir, probably take action really well. You act on things. You're not sitting back and waiting. You move forward.
All right, so that's what we saw with Bernie Sanders. Donald Trump, interesting here. What did you find with Donald Trump?
Orange charisma shared with Einstein. So Donald Trump is somebody who is creative, innovative. This is a brilliance, a wackiness. We really don't know what's going to come out of Donald Trump's mouth, do we?
No, that is very true.
So this would be an orange charisma type.
All right, and let's do one more. Let's do our current president, Barack Obama.
Marilyn Monroe, blue charisma.
Which means what?
This means this is somebody who can enchant. So each charismatic type gives a gift, and everyone has a gift. Barack Obama can enchant. This is somebody who is able to be receptive and able to be melodic and receive information very well, and therefore I think is one of his great strengths in his election.
All right, and if people are interested, they could take the code for themselves. Again, where can they find this?
CharismaCodeBook.com, and remember, everybody has their own charisma type, and we need you in the world. It's the currency of connection, and this world needs good connectors for good collaborators.
All right, and there's other information, too, as to what you do with it once you learn your code, how you can make yourself a better person. All right, guys, anybody have a chance to take the quiz?
I did.
Holly, what'd you
Orange.
get? You're orange, and what is orange?
Einstein.
Orange is Einstein. Okay.
She's creative.
Robin, what are you?
Innovative. I'm gold, so the Dalai Lama one. Loving gift.
All right. Okay. Did you get yours?
I'm still waiting.
You're still waiting. I'll take mine in a commercial break.
Yeah, do it though. It's interesting. I had a hard time though picking some of my answers. Like I could have been, you know what I mean?
Time. They're thoughtful.
They're thoughtful, and sometimes I felt like with some of the questions I needed other people to answer for me because maybe I don't necessarily realize.
What's great with his question about how do people get it, the first step of the Charisma Code, 3 parts, is to know your values. So the quiz is designed so that you actually have those inquiries into yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent. Very interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
Enjoyed
Robin.
that? Good. Thank you so much, Steve.